It's Nuganomics with David Toulis. A story today in Nuga.com tells us that the National Resources Defense Council, having released its annual sneezing and wheezing report, indicates that Chattanooga is among the top wheeziest cities in the country. And guess what is blamed for this misery that affects thousands of people in my city and probably in yours? Well, it's ragweed pollen and increased levels of ozone smog pollution, which the story suggests, well, the Defense Council suggests, rises from the ground, and there are things that rise from the ground and touch things that are in the air that create this very unfortunate pollen. Well, my name is David Toulis, and our show is Nuganomics. I think there might be another cause of this problem, at least here, and that is something that happens not at ground level, but at 40,000 feet or more above in the lower stratosphere, and that is the depositing, the injection, if you will, of particles that are very much like jet exhaust. And that is called, I call these long plumes, of which we had hundreds of them in the area, I call them sky stripes. Now, all across the state of Tennessee yesterday, that is to say Thursday, there was heavy activity in the sky. Planes of all kinds, probably many of them just regular passenger planes, were depositing these long stripes. They could be called consistent contrails. They could be called, as some do, chemtrails. And the danger is that it's a health problem. It is a form of pollution. And if you believe the writings of some, as I do, it is part of national policy. I have on the phone with me a sky watcher in Knoxville, someone whose work in photographing sky developments, sky news is of interest to me. Her name is Marla Stairwood, and we had in Knoxville yesterday, as here in Chattanooga, a very septic sky. Marla, welcome to Nuganomics.com.
Hi, David. Thanks for having me on.
Well, tell us what happened yesterday, starting at well, let's say coffee time in the morning. How did the day progress as far as the weather went in your city?
The aerosol disbursement began with the sunrise, and it was pretty much nonstop all day long. Weather woman early in the morning was calling for high wispy cirrus clouds. We had those, but they came out of planes. There was a lot of that cirrus cloud formation looking stuff in the sky, but most of this came from, if not all, came from persistent trails that expanded. And we saw patterns yesterday that we hadn't seen in a while. Here recently, the geoengineering has been more subtle than that. But yesterday, it was like they pulled out all the stops and perhaps maybe used up most of the black spot budget for Knoxville because they didn't stop all day. We saw circles in the sky. I've seen pictures of those before, but I've never seen one myself. But there was a huge aerosol trail circle over downtown yesterday about 2 o'clock.
What other phenomenon did you see, Marla Stairwood of Knoxville, that is typical of what I call manufactured sky?
Mm-hmm. It was very manufactured. By, I'd say, 4:30, 5 o'clock, all of the aerosols that had been dispersed were spreading and creating a whiteout. We were in a white dome, or that white-gray colored dome, with just a little bit of blue left showing, and they were quickly working with aerosols trying to cover that. By 5:15 or so, there were halos around the sun with sundogs. And by 6 p.m., we couldn't see the sun. It was just that gray, as you say, plasma-looking layer that just covered us. And we couldn't see the sun shining through it any longer. We were covered up.
Well, we had, I think our listener here in Chattanooga, Marla Stairwood, had a similar observation that the sky got murkier and murkier and less and less transparent. And finally, you could barely even see where the sun was as I was driving home after sales calls for my radio station. I looked up and in the kind of mid-high western sky, you couldn't see the sun except for a kind of like a little prick in this haze, this kind of smog haze. Now, my thinking is, if I could have just gotten above that haze, I wonder what I would have, if I'd been in an airplane, let's say at 50,000 feet above where air traffic generally goes. I wonder what I would have seen. You want to speculate what it looks like from above this dome of cloud?
I would, I wouldn't know, actually. I have flown above aerosol disbursement before, and it's very interesting. I don't know what they did yesterday, but they could have been spraying another layer above that. But I bet we would have found blue skies above what they laid here yesterday.
Well, that's right. You find
guessing, of course.
Right. Well, it seems to me that when you're above that layer, if you were above it, you would see blue sky all around you in this great blue dome. But below you would be this carpet, and that carpet. My thinking is, and I think you share some with my analysis, is intention. It's an intentional. It's an intentional blanketing of the Earth, and as far as it can be manufactured, there are parties that are doing that by jet disbursement or jet injection, also called at the Berlin Geoengineering Conference this summer, negative emissions. That and the let me ask you this: would it serve public policy in our country for that for those clouds to be always being laid down? Is there a policy interest theoretically, Marla Stairwood, in having artificial manufactured clouds over large geographic areas?
Is there a policy interest in having?
Yes. Does that serve public policy in some way?
Say that again. I'm sorry. I think I talked over you, David.
I'm sorry. Well, I'm asking if you do you suppose that these white blankets of cloud over large geographic areas, namely all of Tennessee, do they serve at least they serve some kind of public policy interest, a governmental interest?
Well, their expressed purpose is solar radiation management to help us manage global warming or climate change. Is there policy interest for legitimizing it?
Well, I'm just asking theoretically, if we're at war with global warming, there would be a real interest in having a lot of these blankets laid down, because the theory is that sun is being deflected and able to bounce back into space and not reach the surface of the Earth, thereby contributing to at least the cooling of the planet, or at least the stopping of the warming of the planet.
Correct. But as we know from researchers around the globe and just from the science of what it is they're doing, it does trap heat and contributes to warming rather than cure it.
Well, Marla Stairwood of Knoxville, you are a sky watcher, one of our friendlies caring about the sky. Thanks for joining my listener and me here at Nuganomics.com.
Thanks for having me, David, and thanks for all your coverage on this issue. It's urgent that we continue to expose it.
Thanks, Marla. Marla Stairwood is a Skywatch advocate and had for a time run the Tennessee Skywatch page on Facebook. And that is an interesting story that we have in Nuga.com today. My name is David Toulis. It's by Sean Phipps, and his headline is Chattanooga ranks among the sneeziest and wheeziest cities in the nation. And this is published by the Environmental Defense Fund, which has no position on sky striping as a pollution. Of course, these are left-wing, statist-oriented, progressive environmentalists, and they have no notice, given no notice to what our own observation would suggest is a continuing and I would say intensifying program to cloud up the sky with what we have to understand is official pollution. It is sanctioned pollution. These are emissions which are, in one part of the deep state's interest, they are offered as making war against global warming, right? And the whole global warming scare has many benefits for progressive government, because it allows for the national states to increase their claims over the people and over their national economies. The story, if you download the report from the National Resources Defense Council, it says sneezing and wheezing, how climate change could increase ragweed, allergies, air pollution, and asthma. And it says scientific studies have also shown that our changing climate could favor the formation of more ozone smog in some areas and increase the production of allergenic pollen, such as that released by the ragweed plant, the principal source of pollen associated with allergic rhinitis. This is bad news for allergy sufferers. That could be someone like you, my listener, and asthmatics, because both ragweed pollen and high levels of ozone smog can trigger asthma attacks and worsen allergic symptoms in adults and children. And Chattanooga is one of the top 10 towns. The worst is Richmond, followed by Memphis, Oklahoma City, Philadelphia, and we're at number 5. Behind us is Chicago, by this study, Detroit, New Haven, Allentown, and Atlanta. And the paper says, it's about 15 pages, says that in many industrialized countries such as the U.S., there is evidence that respiratory allergic diseases are increasing in prevalence and severity. Well, we have to understand these things are coinciding with the federal program, which is behind the basis of this program is national security, and it's behind state security. Therefore, it runs parallel to the scientific world, which keeps talking about the need for a mass chemtrailing program in the future, right? Because now, to them, these actors, these professors and scientists and theoreticians, to them, it is only something that's been proposed. It hasn't been done. No one knows how to do this. No one knows how to make clouds to cover the earth. There's no idea how this is done, though there have been some studies and some computer models, quite a bit of computer modeling to see if it can be done. So you have these two universes that don't connect, the one run by corporations and the military, which oversee them and takes all the liability off of them. And then you have this program where there is an official pollutant. It's either 2 ways of delivery of these clouds. One is through tanker jets, which spew from their nozzles aerosol metals, including aluminum, strontium, and barium. And the second is as a lubricant in fuel. Now, the second way, which probably is used by airlines in agreement, they agree to use environmentally friendly fuels, and thereby get some kind of pollution credits for the use of that fuel, because they are creating this pollution. Remember, it is pollution, but it's a positive pollution. It serves a high end, at least ostensibly. But because this program is a secret, you have no doubt layers of intentionality behind any one layer. And what we're seeing in the front is, well, it's what the EPA says in its fact sheet that has been largely unchanged for the past 15 years. And it says that all the trails that Marla Steerwood sees, all the trails that you see, the things you're concerned about are really nothing to be worried about at all. Why? Because it's just water condensation. Well, that's a big story. And you think that people who sell cars are dishonest, right? You think that people who sell cars are kind of shady. Well, it really is just the opposite. Especially if you think about the Chattanooga situation. We have these stories about our clean air and our murky air just being caused by nature. It's a complete lie. And then you have Automax, which is a local car dealership, our automobile partner here at our radio station. My name is David Toulis, and Automax is our partner in the auto business. And it's an unpretentious little car lot, and there you will get the straight poop, and you'll get a price on a car that's $2,000 less than anywhere else. Any other used car lot will have more or less the same vehicles bought at the auctions, but $2,000 more. Now, do you want to save $2,000 on a car? If that matters for your son's first car, right, or maybe you need a replacement van, then you need to go to Automax. I saw a Honda Odyssey minivan for just a few $1,000s in very good shape, much better than mine, which has gone 250,000 miles. So you buy a car like that, the highly recommended Honda Odyssey minivan, and you'll have a car that will last you as mine has. And it's just a few $1,000s at Automax. Again, it's an unpretentious car lot. You would hardly notice it was there, but we have found this supplier of vehicles, and in fact, we have a Jeep Cherokee of Automax. Louis is the man who owns it, and we're offering it at half price of what anybody else would charge for it. It's at our website, our half price website. We are Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240, and online it's hotnewstalkradio.com. Just click the half off link and you're going to get great deals of all kinds. Great deals. And Louis would love to help you. He's got his operation is mean and lean, just like mine. I have no employees. He has only himself, and sometimes his wife helps him, Melinda. And he buys, cleans, repairs, and sells cars, and you're going to have a great advantage. Again, the name of the auto lot you need to go to is Automax. Automax, ask for Louis. He's a man of character, a man of scruples. I have determined in conversations with Louis, and you should give him your business. His number is 643-2886. That's 643-2886. More integrity in a Chattanooga car lot than integrity out of the good people, the great ones in Washington, D.C. Speaking of integrity in Washington, D.C., we have to be very glad to learn that Senator Bob Corker says that he's dismayed that the federal government isn't collecting even more information than we had thought. We had thought that it was collecting too much, but no, it's not collecting enough. According to a post that I have published at Nuganomics.com, you can read all about Senator Corker is dismayed that your phone call to your wife is being collected, but somehow it's not being. It's not enough. I mean, he wants to have more. The headline at Nuganomics.com is Corker says NSA collecting too little data on Americans. He says, quote, "The program is actually not the program I thought it was. Not even close. I think you are going to see people on both sides of the aisle pushing, wondering why not more data is part of the database that is used to protect our citizens." Are we misunderstanding Senator Bob Corker? He's shocked at how little data the NSA is collecting. And he says the program needs to be ramped up hugely. So you see why I'm saying that you're obviously much better than average car dealer in Chattanooga. Louis at Automax is a man of more integrity than our great former mayor who has risen to national prominence, right? He's a potential future Grand Old Party Republican candidate for president. And he says that he advocates that the NSA spying program be ramped up hugely. Are we living in the wrong world, you, my listener? Or maybe we are. Maybe you and I have got it wrong. Maybe we're just mistaken. Somehow we're making a mistake. We just can't figure out where it is, and we're stumbling about in a very dark room, in a strange room where we don't know where the furnishings are, where the door is, where a light switch is, and we're just toppling about, almost breaking vases and stubbing our toes on the legs of ornate furniture, which we think is ornate. Well, our theory here at Nuganomics.com is love your neighbor and buy local. Near is better than far. Small is better than big. And simple is better than complex. Personal is better than corporate. And what about abstract? Do we love abstract? No, we favor physical. Physical is better than abstract. And I'm sinking in the ratings. I want you to know that I'm sinking in the ratings. I'm now the number 4 show here, and I'm behind Digital Drive #1 with Russell the Kid, which is every day at noon. I'm very, very much pressed by his excellence, and I'm also behind Tex at Cowboy Up with Tex at 6 o'clock. Every Thursday, just by the way, we've got a great roundup of what's happening over the coming weekend, and that's with Tex. And my show is Nuganomics.com at number 4. Number 2 or number 3 could well be Sean Hannity, the great neoconservative, the great American imperialist who believes in American exceptionalism, a wonderful and powerful and notable, some would say, infamous conservative. So it could be that, it could be Laura Ingraham. We have NASCAR too every Sunday, and we are the exclusive provider of NASCAR. Nowhere else in Chattanooga will you hear that, but here at Hot News Talk Radio 1240 AM. The AM band, the talk band, we're one step up and one step to the right of Rush's band at a nearby station, a competitor station. Well, the name is David Toulis, and to get back to our accounting, we're told back at the Defense Fund's paper that cited that we have the National Resources Defense Council. We're told that we are having more smog. But I'd like to suggest that it's not just its explanations are kind of earthbound, and I'd like to suggest that if there's ill health, especially neurological damage in Chattanooga, the causes may be a program which is entirely sanctioned by government, and which Bob Colby, the air pollution watchdog in Chattanooga and Hamilton County, is forbidden to bark at. Right? He cannot bark at the aluminum, the strontium, and the barium, which his sensors find routinely to detect trace amounts, as he said, trace amounts of these toxicologically damaging elements, which are not naturally found in nature, not naturally found in the air or even on the ground. They are constructed in factories. They are made in factories. And I dare say, from what I've read, it's entirely possible that we are dealing with nanoparticulates, which don't show up at all. Nanoparticulates are at atomic size. And the reason for the atomic size being used is because if the particle, the aluminum particle, is at the atomic level, it'll stay up longer and provide longer reflection. But as Marla Stairwood of Knoxville tells us, the iron dome that we have blocking out the sun on many days and in many parts of the world has a negative effect. There's a negative feedback loop, and that is not just damaged and queered hydrological cycles. It is an overall rising of surface temperatures here and a loss of humidity. This is David Toulis, and our show is Nuganomics.com.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
If you have the DT, it's a shame, because your phone is on the fritz. You have nomophobia. You need help. Your telecom doctor is in. Cell Surgeon at Northgate Mall. Cell Surgeon yanks open the ribcage of your phone, pries out the dead heart, and puts in the beating life that you lead on your cell phone. Broken screen, phone not charging, water damage, battery given out? Cell Surgeon at Northgate Mall next Old Chicago Pizza. Check us out on Facebook. Open Sunday. Cell Surgeon. We bring your phone back to life. We've got a table here at Delia's in Saudi Daisy, ready to delight in a plate of authentic Mexican food. Delia's spreads a rich selection: loaded nachos, crazy chicken, homemade tamales, maybe the enchiladas with beef, chicken, pork, quesadillas. Every dish beautifully pictured on the menu to help us decide. Join us for lunch or dinner. We're at Delia's in Saudi Daisy on Dayton Pike near the Thrasher Light. Here's dinner. Delia's uses the freshest ingredients, cooked to perfection. Nachos, homemade. Delia's open every day except the Lord's Day. For lunch and dinner, treat yourself to Delia's genuine Mexican food. In Saudi, call 521-7145. That's 521-7145.
Are you tired of working in corporate America, or have you recently lost your job and would like to consider owning your own business? If you are, please call me, as I can help you look at franchises or business opportunities that fit you, the economy that we're in, and the type of businesses that are right in the greater Chattanooga area. After I help my clients find the right opportunity, I also help them find the best way to finance the business, including paying yourself through the startup phase. If you would like to learn more about opportunities that may be right for you, please call me for a free assessment. My name is Bruce Krebs at the Entrepreneur Source. Phone number is 423-875-5621.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. You do not have to be living with constant pain. You need to make the choice today to enjoy a revitalized body. You deserve to live a better pain-free life. And Dr. Ross can help. At Ross Chiropractic, failure is not an option. For over 40 years, Dr. Ross, a graduate of the prestigious Palmer College of Chiropractic, prided himself in helping and healing. The Ross method of chiropractic care is unique in developing a treatment designed just for you. And Ross Chiropractic makes this promise to you. If he believes that he can't help relieve your pain, he will guide you to another health practitioner to assist you. Feel better now. You owe it to yourself. You really do. Call Dr. Ross now at 954-9591. That's 954-9591. And visit Dr. Ross at 7405 Shallowford Road, Suite 320. Ross Chiropractic, helping your body heal itself. Because when your spine's in line, you will feel fine. Call 954-9591. That's 954-9591 for Ross Chiropractic.
Do you feel better outside your home or business than in? Indoor air quality is important. Mildew, mold, smoke, water, and rodent damage are prime causes of poor indoor air quality. Ducts, Indoor Air Professionals, better known as Duct Busters, cleans HVAC systems using 127 definable Duct Busters steps. Let Mark Thompson address the indoor air quality at your business to help reduce employee illnesses. Prevent fires by cleaning your dryer vents. Mark and his parents, Dick and Joan Thompson, have been building our local economy and helping local people with HVAC systems 16 years. Ducts, Indoor Air Professionals. Call 876-9907. 876-9907. Ducts. Call now.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. The commander-in-chief saluting the Marines who died in a chopper crash in Nepal, part of a relief mission.
They went to that remote land to help people who suffered devastating losses in the terrible earthquake.
President speaking at the National Peace Officers Memorial Service. There were 6 Marines and 2 Nepalese Army soldiers on that helicopter. Laid to rest today, the U.S. Naval Academy midshipman killed in the Amtrak derailment in Philadelphia, one of 8 victims who died in that crash. Meanwhile, the NTSB says the train's engineer, Brandon Bastian, is going to speak to authorities.
The key question will be why the train accelerated from 70 to 106 miles per hour in the final minute before Bastian applied the emergency brake, far too late to stop the train from derailing as it hit a dangerous curve at more than double the speed limit.
Fox's Rick Leventhal, Fox News. We report, you decide.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nooganomics with David Toulis.
This is David Toulis. Our show is Nooganomics.com. We are all about local economy and the free market and are excited to hear how various industries, various callings before God, professions, and people who are expert in their fields are finding their way around the roadblock. The roadblock in terms of, or in the field of medicine, is one whose cracks we are starting to see, and coming from or going, I guess, through these cracks or around the obstacle are physicians who have had enough of bureaucracy. They've had enough of centralized, mechanistic, administratively oriented medicine. And we're going to hear from Dr. Homero Rivas, who is a physiatrist. Now, a physiatrist. Say that again? Physiatrist. Okay, it's a physiatrist. He owns and runs Chattanooga Spine and Body, which is near the Target store along Highway 53. It's a private pay clinic, and we're going to hear why that's an advantage to him and to the patient, and we'll find out exactly what Homero does among people who have medical needs. But he's coming from a background which has been highly bureaucratized, you might say highly enslaved by the insurance industry, and many doctors are starting to think that they need to redeem themselves. They need to buy themselves back from a servitude to government and to these gigantic for-profit corporations, which we all rely on. And we all think somehow that insurance is involved in healthcare. But Homero Rivas, welcome to Nooganomics.com.
Thank you.
Now, that's not true, right? Insurance companies are not involved in healthcare.
Well, to clarify, health insurance companies do not provide healthcare. Physicians and providers provide healthcare to patients. That is probably...
What does that take that further?
What we're just saying is that a patient gets the healthcare they need when they see the provider they wish and get those medical services that they need. The only thing that we see right now is that health insurance companies are basically agreeing to pay for stuff. And that's what they basically do. They don't actually provide healthcare.
But are they pretending to provide healthcare? Are they somehow crossing a line?
I think that's sort of the public perception, is that they've kind of convinced the public, and even the government has kind of convinced the public that health insurance companies provide healthcare. They feel in a lot of ways nowadays kind of feel they know better than the treating physician how to best treat patients.
Well, maybe they do.
Well, I would have to disagree with that on many levels.
Well, go ahead. Why is that assertion wrong?
Well, again, like I said, the insurance companies, in short, really agree what they're going to pay for. Now, at the end of the day, the insurance companies, of course, they can't practice medicine without a license. So what they will say is, well, we don't diagnose, we don't make medical decisions, which by and large is true. But at the end of the day, they decide what they're willing to pay for. And by making that decision of what they will and won't pay for and what criteria need to be fulfilled in order to pay, that is how they're really influencing medical decisions.
Is there a way you could be, well, let's just back up for a second. You're a physiatrist. I was mispronouncing it. And you run Chattanooga Spine and Body. In a nutshell, what kind of treatments do you provide your patients?
In physiatry, we train and treat a lot of different conditions, anywhere from brain injuries to spinal cord injuries to general musculoskeletal problems. things like strokes, amputations, sports injuries, pain management, electrodiagnostics. So it's a very broad field is what we treat. But also as a scuba diver, I also have a side interest in wilderness medicine and in diving medicine, and do some dive physicals for some of the dive shops in the Chattanooga area.
Well, maybe I'm wandering astray here, but how can you injure yourself by diving? We're in an inland state.
Well, diving actually has to deal with breathing compressed gases. Those compressed gases can have a lot of different effects on the body once you start going down to depth.
So even the depth of the Tennessee River?
Depending on how deep it is, even as shallow as 40 feet, if you stay down long enough, there's obviously different effects that can have on your body as the gases build up in your body.
Well, how is Chattanooga Spine and Body different fundamentally from other practices? What does it mean for the listener when he hears that you are a private pay? What does that mean?
Well,
where do you go with that?
Well, as a private pay office, what that means is the patient basically pays me directly. So there's not any waiting or having to go through the insurance. So in the eyes of the insurance, I'm basically treated as what they call an out-of-network provider, because I'm not participating with the insurance companies. And as such, I have not signed a contract with the insurance companies to accept it.
Well, if you were to approach an insurance company to go back partway into your old servitude, that would be a very long process. Talk to my listener about how, for a small practice, having one arrangement with one company is, how complex is it? What's involved in it to be accredited? Homero Rivas.
Well, in order with it, generally what you do is they call getting credentialed, and that involves months of filling out a lot of paperwork. And that paperwork involves kind of showing the insurance company where you went to medical school, where you did your residency, where you did your fellowship, so they can verify all of your medical credentials and to verify that you're a well-trained and qualified and competent physician. And after you've gone through all this paperwork and they've verified all this, then you sign a contract and agree to take the insurance. Problem is that there's a lot of strings attached when you agree to take that insurance, and that's where I think a lot of the public is just kind of ignorant as what that actually involves and how that begins to limit a physician from practicing medicine the way they were taught.
Well, can you be specific about these strings? Give some general statements about what they look like and how they work, and then maybe hone in on one example to show how the details are.
Well, in particular, again, like I said, the insurance, they don't diagnose, they don't necessarily make any medical decisions, but they agree what they're going to pay for. And so there's all these different things that you get in insurance when it comes to things like prior authorizations, the whole denial and appeal process, that all kind of act to inhibit the insurance basically paying for any medical services. So it creates a lot of hoops. Now, for prior authorization, that's basically asking for financial permission from the insurance company. That says, if I decide to do this medical treatment for my patient, prior authorization means, do I have either some kind of oral or written verification that the insurance is going to agree to pay me if I go ahead and do this?
Well, how much time of a day does it take you to do these kinds of things, handle the correspondence, handle the clerk who would be handling the correspondence, and so on?
It's really hard to kind of put an exact time. That takes up hours of every day. And when you're dealing with insurance, there's multiple office staff that are doing nothing but dealing with insurance all day long. One is to get a lot of these, what I said, whether it's getting prior authorizations, whether it's filing appeals after denials have been received from the insurance, and all of this takes time, effort, and money from any medical office.
And my listener, if he's involved in insurance and goes into an insurance taking office, doesn't realize the burden that his means of payment brings to that physician. He doesn't realize what's going on in the back rooms and the cost of that staff.
No, and the thing is that when a physician signs a contract with insurance, they agree to accept a payment or a fee schedule that basically has been determined by the insurance companies. There's a fee schedule that has a list of fees for everything you could possibly conceive of doing in a medical office. And when that physician or medical office signs that contract, they've agreed to accept legally the amount that the insurance company has predetermined. But the caveat on that is that the expectation is the physician is expected to charge the same amount regardless of the insurance a patient has or whether or not they have insurance. And the thing is, because that medical office or physician signed a contract with the insurance, they can legally pay less than what's on the bill, what's charged, according to the fee schedule that they determined.
Now, I was asking earlier, you wouldn't go if you were going to sign up to be an insurance taker. That just dealing with one company would be a very long process, right? And
Yes.
if there are many insurance companies, so if as a small practitioner, you are really kind of in a bind.
Yes, the thing is that there's what they call CPT code. That's what they call medical. It's a service code. CPT code is a number that represents anything that you would do in a medical office, whether that's an office visit, medication, a procedure, or surgery. And like I said, the insurance companies have a fee schedule for every single one of these CPT codes. And there's literally thousands of these codes. And like I said, when you sign that contract, you agree to accept what the insurance companies predetermined they want to pay for every one of those CPT codes.
So that means you're accepting rates of pay for things you haven't really thought about, you haven't done lately. You're sort of blindly accepting payment schedules which you have not had time to think about because there's so many. It's such a voluminous record.
Yes, there's literally thousands of these CPT codes, and that means that, like I said, there's not a single small medical office that has the time and the resources to negotiate a reasonable fee for every single CPT code and then have to turn around and do that with every single insurance company. It doesn't happen.
Are you suggesting that this problem is putting new and great pressure on small practices such as not Chattanooga Spine and Body, but others like it? Is there some kind of big eat small situation that's begun?
Yes, over the years, it's, there was a time, say 40 years ago, where if an insurance decided they didn't want to pay for something, a physician could write a letter, get on the phone, call the insurance company, and it was very easy to get them to reverse their decision to go ahead and pay. Nowadays, it's getting very difficult once an insurance company has decided that they don't want to pay for something or feel that it's not medically justified, then it's very difficult to get them to reverse their decision to pay for something. And so what's happening is a lot of small practices, because they don't have the time and resources to negotiate reasonable fees with the insurance company. It's small medical practice going up against big business. And so when the insurance company goes to an office, say, well, here's our contract, sign it, accept what we agree to pay you. If you don't, fine, we'll go to another physician who will. And so, again, a lot of small practices are bullied into signing these, insurance contracts that are clearly in the financial interest of the insurance companies. So what you're having is a lot of small medical practice struggling to stay afloat financially because medical practices still are a business. And so what you see is a lot of larger entities like hospitals or even healthcare management companies see this as an opportunity to go in and buy up small medical practices.
The big people with capital are buying up effectively distressed practices, distressed small businesses.
Yes, and sort of the philosophy and the idea, I guess, when they approach the medical practice is, well, tell you what, we'll buy your practice out. We'll deal with the insurance company so you don't have to, so you can just practice medicine.
You then become you somehow reduce your status, or you have a reduced status. What happens to you as the doctor? Are you not esteemed as the doctor?
Well, once you start working for either a hospital or a large medical management corporation, a lot of times what you see is salaries begin to diminish. And in essence, that physician or provider begins working for the hospital or that healthcare management company.
You are an employee and you take orders.
Basically,
effectively,
yes.
From the management company or the hospital. You are not really the independent judgment that you developed with years in medical school, with your kind of probation period, what's I call your residency, and
yes.
Then actual practice. That you effectively have to lay aside. You sort of become unmanned by being an employee of a business in that way, right? I mean,
in a lot of ways, yes.
You're kind of emasculated in your profession, right?
In a lot of ways, yes. Because you begin working for, again, the hospital. And many times, once you sign a contract with a hospital or, a large healthcare management company, a lot of times they may guarantee your salary for the first year or two. And after that, you actually many times will get put on a percentage where the hospital may take, say, 60% of all the fees you bill to the insurance. And you may get, say, 40% of all those fees. And that's not even what you bill. It's what they actually collect. So if the insurance decides to lower reimbursements, guess what? All the physicians that are on a percentage get a pay cut because the insurance have now decided to cut reimbursements.
This is David Toulis. We're here at Nuganomics.com on Hot News Talk Radio, 1240 AM. And I'm talking with Dr. Homero Rivas, who is a physiatrist, and he is the owner and operator of an independent and free market-based Chattanooga Spine and Body practice near the Target store along Highway 153. It's a private pay clinic. And in the same direction as Dr. Rivas is David Red, who runs Quick Surge in the Publix shopping center in North Shore. And he does kind of walk-in surgery, David does, and lacerations, skin tags, moles, and things like that. Does he take insurance? No. And he doesn't take insurance because he deals with he deals with people personally and directly. They pay him in cash, check, or credit card. And because he doesn't deal with insurance, just as Dr. Rivas doesn't, he has his prices published. And it's quick service. No, there's virtually no overhead in his business except, I guess, for rent, and he pays his wife, and he has a nurse. And go find out more about that if you have an accident that you need taken care of, or some little blight or blemish. It's quicksurge.com online. That's QUIKSURG, quicksurge. QUIKSURG.com online, and that's David Red. And my name is David Toulis. Dr. Rivas Omero, talk about how you view the patient differently now than you did previously. Say something about your previous practices and dealings with insurance, and the contrast that and your view of the man or woman sitting before you, and how it's different now.
The medical service, I think, is a lot more personal. Before I give you an example, say a patient comes in, they say they needed, say, a knee injection. And generally, a patient's going to have two questions. One, can we do the injection today? And two, how much is this injection going to cost? Now, if you're dealing with insurance, generally you have to tell the patient, well, we have to go get prior authorization, depending on the insurance, which means that may take a few days, which means patient's going to have to come back in maybe a week or two once we get that authorization, which again, basically just saying we would need to get some kind of written confirmation, oral confirmation from the insurance that they're willing to pay us if we go ahead and do this knee injection. So the patient's going to have to come back in a week or two, which means they're going to have to take more time out of their schedule, pay another copay. Now, as far as that injection, I can tell the patient, well, we may bill the insurance $150. But again, because each insurance has their own fee schedule and what they might pay for that knee injection, one insurance might pay me $150. Other insurances might pay me $75. And legally, depending on the state and the insurance, they may take anywhere from 60 to 90 days to pay me. So after 60 to 90 days, I'm not sure how much I'm going to get paid, which means in maybe 3, 4, even 5 or 6 months later, I'm obligated to send the patient a bill to cover the difference that the insurance didn't. So that's after the patient has already paid their copay. And they may be waiting another 4, 5, maybe even 6 months later, after I find out how much the insurance has actually paid me. And like I said, legally, I'm obligated to try and make an attempt to collect the balance of what the insurance didn't cover.
So it seems that if you're in the insurance model, where my listeners' doctors are still, until your doctor wisens up, he's going to be stuck in that model. The doctor would tend to view the patient as a kind of a burden. You're not looking at a soul with a body, a human being who's got a problem with which you can help, but you're looking at that person as someone you're always kind of calculating. All right, here's this kind of problem. I'm not sure that fits in the code. You're already thinking in terms of administration. You're thinking in terms of conversation you'll have to have with your back office person about is this a good client or not. You probably start rating your clients different ways. And there's this kind of a screen, I think, that would come up, that kind of stands there between you and your patient. It's not like that now, though, is it?
No. Like I said, there's a lot of things that one has to think when you're dealing with insurance. And again, when they're paying, the insurance company sets a lot of the terms. So there may need to be certain exam findings that must be documented. There may be certain medications you have to try first. There may be certain lab tests or a particular x-ray and MRI that must be done before the insurance is willing to cover a certain medical service. So in the back of your mind, when you're dealing with that, you're constantly thinking about, what do I need to put in the chart? What do I need to do so I can prove to the insurance that, yes, this treatment that I want to give my patient is actually medically necessary.
You're dealing with a supervisor and a superior. In fact, though you're not that insurance company's employee, you have to kind of bow and scrape and kind of think, what does the boss want? What do they want? And sometimes you're not sure, right? Sometimes you don't know. You maybe have 5 or 6 options on how to code something. What if you code it wrong? Are there sometimes that you're not sure?
Yeah, there's 2 main things that the insurance companies will use when it comes to the billing. One is, like we talked about before, is a CPT, a medical service code that explains to the insurance or the government what you did in that medical office. Now, the other half of that is what we call ICD-9. It's a diagnosis code. That is a number that represents any medical diagnosis you could come up with. Now, a lot of
repeat. Hold on. Repeat that. Is what is that again?
ICD-9.
ICD-9. Okay.
And again, just like the CPT codes, there are literally thousands of these diagnosis codes. And the problem is that a lot of these diagnosis codes were created in Washington by bureaucrats. And I'm not saying they don't consult physicians, but a lot of these diagnoses you find in the code books are not going to be found in medical textbooks. So a lot of times physicians, once we get done with residency and fellowship and we get out in private practice, now we have to learn the government and the insurance industry's way of diagnosing patients. And so what happens is that when you put a CPT service code to the insurance, again, they're looking for a specific diagnosis code that they think will justify paying for that CPT code. And like you had mentioned, patient comes in, there might be 3 or 4 diagnoses that are appropriate for that patient. However, only one of those diagnoses associated with that CPT code will actually result in payment.
And you're saying you can't find out which one it is. You can't make a call and say, "Hey, I've got 4 options here on this particular treatment."
Well, my experience is when I've called the insurance company and say, "Well, here, we're trying to get this, CPT code paid for. There are 3 or 4 diagnoses that I think are appropriate for the patient. Which one do y'all need to see, or which one can I get paid for?" Their response is generally, "Well, we can't diagnose. We're not doctors. We don't diagnose. We can't tell you that." So now you're in a position like, well, okay, it's like a shell game. I now have 3 diagnoses that I might be able to use for the patient. One of them will actually get me paid by the insurance, but I don't know which one that is. So I have to guess. If I choose correctly, I might actually get paid. If I choose poorly, guess what? I don't get paid.
So you, my listener, have a physician who's involved either with government or with insurance, and he has a bureaucratic hell that's a part of his life that you don't know anything about. And that's why we have to think in terms of the marketplace. If we understand the free market and we understand payment for services or payment for product that's direct and not through an abstract grid, you're going to have more prosperity. You're going to have lower prices. You'll have quicker service. Now, let me ask you this, Homero Rivas of Chattanooga Spine and Body. Are there acts in bad faith that insurance companies throw upon and throw back upon doctors? Are there things that are just unbelievable or done in bad faith?
There are a lot of things. There's a lot of tactics that the insurance companies use, as far as just denying a lot of things. I've had that happen where we actually try to do an epidural injection for a patient, and we called the insurance company, actually got a verbal authorization to go ahead with the injection. After the injection was completed, we got word back from the insurance company, said, "Well, you didn't have that authorization in writing. Sorry, we're not going to pay for that epidural injection." After we had already talked to them on the phone, I said, "Yes, you have our verbal authorization to go ahead and do
What
this."
do you do what does the doctor do with his patient if he's told suddenly, "Hey, that patient's insurance is not going to pay for that patient's problem"? Does he eat the expense?
Well, again, there's a legal obligation for the office may eventually write off that expense, but there's a legal obligation for the office to make an attempt to collect that money that the insurance doesn't pay. So there, in those situations where the insurance turns around and decides not to pay for something, that patient will get a bill. And like I said, again, they may get that bill a few months after.
Very unhappy patient.
Yes.
You have maybe someone who's not going to be a repeat customer, right?
Potentially, yes.
And that's kind of bad marketing.
Yes.
Well, this is David Toulis. Our show is NugaNomics.com. I wanted to mention that we were talking with Homero Rivas, who has his own business. He's his own man in the medical field, running a spine and body clinic. He's a physiatrist, and he has his own idea of how things should work, and he's his own boss, and he's his own man, and so his patients are better off for it. Now, if you're following my suggestion here at NugaNomics.com and want to have your own business, think about your own brand, your own name, your own idea. But if you don't have your own idea, then think about the great American, the bit of genius that the American marketplace has devised, and that is the franchise. If you need to get into a franchise, even a very small one that's part-time, just a little gig on the side, not quite your plan B, but plan A and a half, well, go to Bruce Krebs. He runs Entrepreneur Source, and he will get you into a franchise that's suitable to your background, your interests, and your capital availability, suitable to local economy. And Bruce Krebs is an outstanding person. I I urge you to call him, get on his agenda, get on his calendar, and have a meeting to see what he can do for you. Have a desire to get out of your trap, right? You, my listener, are in a trap. It's got you by the ankle. You can get out by having your own little gig. Entrepreneur Source is 875-5621. That's 875-5621. My name is David Toulis. We're talking with Homero Rivas, and the marketplace is asserting itself, and they're giving you, my listener, options, and giving professionals such as Dr. Rivas options that were not there before.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Right now, you can save half off on HotNewsTalkRadio.com. Go to HotNewsTalkRadio.com and click half off for exceptional deals on new and pre-owned unique quality items. For Hamilton County residents only. Save half off at Jet's Pizza, golf clubs, coffee, tea, a real sword, jewelry, and much more. It's half off. Go to half off at HotNewsTalkRadio.com right now, then click on half off to save big. Be sure to join us live Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays at 11 a.m. as we bring you lots of fantastic deals right here, AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. HotNewsTalkRadio.com and half off.
Surgery does not have to be financially painful. Hi, I'm surgical Dr. David Red, and I'd like to invite you to my walk-in surgery clinic in North Shore. Quick Surge brings you immediate relief from moles, skin tags, maybe a laceration. Quick Surge. You walk in, fill out a mini form, I numb the area I'll treat, and before you know it, you're on your way home. Do I take insurance? No, because I take cash customers. I have super low and fixed prices. Credit card, check, or cash. Uninsured? Member of the working financially disadvantaged? Choose Quick Surge. I publish prices online. No murk, just sunshine. Hassle-free, pain-free. Love the idea of a personal relationship with a doctor? Drop in with a nasty cut from work. Quick Surge. I'll take care of you. Quick Surge in the Public Center on the North Shore. No insurance hassles with Quick Surge. The national medical system is dysfunctional, overpriced, very alienating. I'm part of the solution, and so are you. Come on home. QuickSurge.com. QUIKSURG. Relief.
When my brother and I opened the first Jet's Pizza, we believed if we made the best pizza, customers would find us. So we made fresh dough each day, used fresh toppings, and premium mozzarella cheese. 300 plus stores later, we still do.
Try Jet's famous 8-corner pizza with premium mozzarella cheese and one topping, now just $11.99 for a limited time only. Jet's Pizza, the best pizza in town. 3600 Hickson Pike.
Life is short. Eat better pizza.
Let's get Jet's. Pure, honest, fair, and respect. Just some words that come to mind when you think about how you want to be treated. And that's how you're treated at Rivermont Pure. Rivermont Pure in Rivermont, Chattanooga. Serving your vehicle needs for over 30 years.
Now that's a long time.
Owner-operators Charlie and Tommy always put your needs first. Yeah, go ahead. Get an estimate from one of those big guy impersonal car repair chains.
No way!
Then bring it to Tommy and Charlie at Rivermont Pure. Chances are they'll beat their price and get your vehicle back on the road faster than you can say,
our customers come first. Hi, this is Charlie.
And I'm Tommy, owners of Rivermont Pure. We're here to serve you.
Rivermont Pure, the auto repair guys. Featuring ethanol-free fuel. Located across from Rivermont Elementary on Hickson Pike. Rivermont, Chattanooga. Rivermont Pure.
Rivermont Pure, that's where I've always gone to get my car serviced. My husband and I trust Charlie and Tommy. They always treat us right and give us a fair price. And they get the job done right the first time. Thank you, Rivermont Pure.
Call 485-3375. That's 485-3375.
Okay, you get your taxes done by a franchise, but you're just a number. Your preparer might have had a 9-week course, but he's a number 2. Are you creating prosperity for your customers and yourself? E.J. Pelton clears the thick underbrush of taxes, helps make your way straight. Don't let uncertainty dampen your local economy spirit. Look, come home. Let E.J. Pelton Tax Service handle your taxes. Eric Pelton is the Chattanooga and Soddy Daisy tax specialist with 37 years under his belt. Eric Pelton also does bookkeeping and accounting to help you reach your entrepreneurial and financial goals. Confidential advice, consulting, and other services. Yours for the asking. EJPelton.com. That's EJPelton.com. Call 332-3339. That's 332-3339. Think ahead.
Here comes Dale Earnhardt
Jr. He's got third. He's going for second. Earnhardt going for the lead.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series is on the Motor Racing Network. Coverage continues Sunday here at Live on the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
NASCAR being brought to you by River City Auto Exchange, 5503 Highway 153 in Hicksville.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
WSDT Sunny Daisy, Chattanooga.
CBS News, I'm Jim Taylor. 8 dead in this week's crash of a helicopter high in the mountains of Nepal. President Obama extending condolences.
Our prayers remain with the families of our Marines and 2 Nepalese soldiers now that the wreckage of their helicopter has been found in a remote part of Nepal.
U.S. Marines helicopter on an earthquake relief mission when it crashed. Extreme weather conditions making it impossible for crews to retrieve victims' bodies. Here's Pentagon spokesman Colonel Steve Warren.
We're unable to positively identify the cause of this mishap and are also unable to positively confirm the identities of any of the remains of the service members that were on board.
The Chief of Staff, Operation Inherent Resolve, Brigadier General Thomas Wheatley, says he is aware of reports that ISIS has raised its flag on some government buildings in Ramadi, Iraq.
We've seen similar attacks in Ramadi over the last several months, of which the ISF has been able to repel, and we see this one being similar to those, where the ISF will eventually take back the terrain that's been lost at this point.
He says, despite what may be happening in Ramadi, ISIS is in a defensive posture. He was the right hand of Osama bin Laden, and as we hear from CBS reporter Paula Reed today, he is sentenced.
Khalid Al-Fawaz, a former top aide to Osama bin Laden, was sentenced to life in prison. The sentence follows a trial in New York earlier this year where a jury convicted him for his role in the 1998 bombings of U.S. embassies in Africa, which left 224 people dead. The Department of Justice says Fawaz was one of bin Laden's most trusted lieutenants and held many positions within al-Qaeda.
Snowpack at historic lows, rivers dwindling, irrigation districts cutting off water to farmers. So, Washington Governor Jay Inslee today declaring a statewide drought emergency. Getting to the bottom of this week's deadly train crash in Philadelphia, CBS's Steve Dorsey has the latest.
Next in the investigation is to interview the train's engineer, 32-year-old Brandon Bastian. That's expected to happen in the next few days. The NTSB wants to find out how the train accelerated so fast, so quickly. Bastian's also provided blood samples to test for drugs and alcohol. Authorities will also review his cell phone.
Leave the driving to Google.
Google's new driverless cars may look a bit like clown cars, but the company says its road tests have been no laughing matter.
We've made the car hot. We've made the car cold. We've done durability testing.
Now, Google says the pod cars are ready for city streets. In this video on the official company blog, project director Chris Urmson says this is a chance to see how other drivers react to the cars, and
most importantly, it's the necessary step to get them to drive themselves.
For now, the cars will have human safety drivers on board with a top speed of 25 miles per hour. Matt Bigler, CBS News in Silicon Valley.
A couple of hours of trading remain on Wall Street. The Dow right now down 18 points. NASDAQ off 12. This is CBS News.
I'm Jay Farner with some great news on how you could save an average of $3,000 per year on your mortgage. Call Quicken Loans now at 800-QUICKEN to see if you qualify for the government's Home Affordable Refinance Program, or HARP. The HARP guidelines have changed. There's less paperwork and often no appraisal required. Call 800-QUICKEN. That's 800-QUICKEN, or visit QuickenLoans.com.
Important terms and conditions apply. Calls for cost information. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. And MLS number 3030.
Whew, sounds like a nasty storm. Time to increase the strength and integrity of your roof with the Owens Corning Total Protection Roofing System. Our integrated high-performance layer-by-layer design was created to help keep your home protected and secure all year round. Woo, that is some wind. But inside your house, let Owens Corning and the Pink Panther give your home the Panther touch. Get the Owens Corning Total Protection Roofing System. Visit owenscorning.com/roofing for details. Exclusions apply.
A link between asthma and prostate cancer, but not the one doctors expected to find. CBS News correspondent Barry Bagnotto.
Asthma and prostate cancer are inflammation related. So when Johns Hopkins researchers set out to investigate links, they expected to find that asthma raised prostate cancer risk. They found the opposite. In the International Journal of Cancer, they report that asthmatic men are 29% less likely to develop metastatic or spreading prostate cancer and 36% less likely to die from it. They don't know why that is. They're turning their attention to finding out.
The kids in a West Virginia high school convinced their teacher they deserved a reward for a year of good work, but instead of a pizza party, they also convinced that teacher that they should be allowed to watch a movie the teacher knew nothing about. 50 Shades of Grey. The assistant principal was walking by the classroom, caught a glimpse of the erotically charged flick in progress. Just 10 minutes into it, it was shut down. Unclear if students or teacher will face disciplinary action. I'm Jim Taylor, CBS News.
Advance Auto Parts knows what makes a car nice. You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nooganomics with David Toulis.
TV3 says that Walmart is taking on Amazon with unlimited shipping. The big chain is testing an unlimited shipping service for online shoppers this summer that will be below Amazon's $99 per year Prime service. The service at Walmart will be called the Tahoe, and the unlimited shipping program marks a substantial commitment, the story says, and underscores how serious the retailer is about accelerating the growth of its online business, which has seen a slowdown. Another story at this one at Chattanooga.com is about U.S. Express. The local shipper is being sued over the accident in South Georgia that killed 5 nursing students. There was a rear-ending of a vehicle in a line of cars that had somehow stopped on the road, and an 18-wheeler run by Total Transportation of Mississippi and owned by U.S. Express was involved in that accident. And the driver is John Wayne Johnson. He had hit the rear of 7 vehicles that were stopped on that highway in the right lane. My name is David Toulis. Our show is Nooganomics.com. We're the show that believes that if you love your neighbor, you'll buy local. And we are looking at innovations that the marketplace is bringing, reducing costs, making professionals more professional, making men of honor and capability and gift, restoring to their callings their great gifts, which often in a national economy, in a highly corporatized economy, it's hard sometimes to find your best self because we are all involved in state systems and legal fictions, which are corporations, and we are here trying to figure our way out through the coming disaster. We are facing a national disaster where many national systems, which are fueled by debt, which is unpayable, are seeking prosperity in more debt and more administration, more bureaucracy. There's a continuing trend toward centralization. Obamacare is a seizure of national government by the insurance industry, and that is a continuing consolidation, which seems to have benefits for all. And many people, of course, are too naive to realize that whenever there's a constriction of the marketplace, that is against their interest, any interest they may have that touches the field, which has gone over to the dark side, if you will. I wanted to mention Ducts, the indoor air professionals, formerly known as Duct Busters. If you have mold or mildew in your business or your house, contact Ducts, the indoor air professionals, and highly trained crew will find the sources of those problems in your structure and find the lost Lego aftermarket arms that your son dropped down the vent. And of course, he won't get them back. They'll be all gone. But the number is 876-9907, 876-9907. And there's a special for you, my listener. If you have your house done, you'll get a free service, one that will save you a fire. And the fire prospect is in your dryer vent, and that's a $99 service that you can have for free if you have your house done. We're talking with Homero Rivas II, who is a physiatrist. Am I saying that right? Physiatrist, a long I. And he owns and runs Chattanooga Spine and Body near the Target store along Highway 53. It's a private pay clinic. And this is something that we are very excited to see happen as a marketplace reaction to, you might say, progressivism and all its beauties. And those we're referring to, of course, are the insurance business and patients who come for care who don't pay themselves, and they're expecting giant bureaucracies whom they are engaging for this service to pay the doctor and to analyze analyze the problem. Well, Omero, does insurance raise costs for my listener for medical services? Is that true that insurance brings inflation, or is there some other cause?
No, by and large, what happens is that insurance generally underpays. Unfortunately, I think Medicare and Medicaid are probably the two insurance that pay probably the least amount out of any. So what happens is because a lot of these insurances underpay, physicians are forced to overcharge. The legal obligation is on the physician to charge the same amount regardless of the insurance or regardless of whether or not someone has insurance at all. So, but because physicians sign contracts with the insurance companies can legally pay them less than what they charge. But like I said, the legal obligation is on the physician to charge the same amount.
Well, why do physicians overcharge or list prices that are too high? Why is that necessary?
Well, like I said, it's because insurance is underpaying and because they actually may lose money on certain insurances that underpay. And in order to compensate for the money they're losing for all those patients that are using insurances that don't pay very well, they have to overcharge other insurances to try and compensate. So what happens is you get this snowball effect where prices kind of start spiraling out of control and increasing a lot more than they should.
So even for practices or hospitals that take insurance, a cash customer is a valuable customer, and the cash customer arrives and the real price comes out, right?
Usually.
Often.
However, the problem is that if that medical office or the hospital has that contract signed with that insurance, they legally have to go through the insurance. If they try and bypass, circumvent the insurance, they in essence are committing insurance fraud. So their hands are tied to legally go through the insurance if they have accept the insurance that that particular patient has.
Well, I'm a member of Samaritan Ministries, which is a Christian mutual aid society, and I was a cash customer with several practices and Memorial Hospital recently, and I had a $16,000 hospital bill that was I was told would be half if I paid cash. So my wife, who brought my son in, wrote a check for $2,500, making us real cash customers of some kind. And then we paid very quickly through our Christian friends who reimbursed us for all of our expenses. The price was $8,000 for the hospital stay. So that was the price that was offered to the cash customer. So cash really, if you're dealing with cash, your industry, your ministry, if you will, of care for the ill, would have, if everyone paid cash, would have really much reduced prices than what are known now.
Yes, that's correct. Like I said, the example I like to use is like, let's say if, I don't know, say if Walmart happened to take insurance and they allowed Medicare and Medicaid to pay for everything that Walmart sells. Now they may have, say, a microwave that they sell for $100. Now the thing is that the Medicare and Medicaid price, that what they're willing to pay for that $100 microwave may only be $30. So because Walmart has now allowed Medicare and Medicaid to pay for that microwave, and they've agreed to accept the fee schedule that Medicare and Medicaid has set, guess what? They sell that $100 microwave. Someone with Medicare and Medicaid buys that microwave. Walmart's only getting $30. Now, how many of those microwaves do you think they could sell at $30 before they end up going out of business? So what happens? Now you're forced to charge maybe $150, $200 for that microwave because while you're losing money every time you sell a microwave at $30. So now you're charging $150, $200 for a microwave that normally used to sell for $100.
And that's the price on the big sticker on the window, right?
Yes.
$150.
Yes.
Everybody else pays that.
Yes. And so you're hoping that maybe some insurances might pay you $150 or $200 for that microwave because the business is now losing money every time they get $30 for that microwave if someone is using some insurance like such as Medicare and Medicaid.
What do friends of yours who are doctors, Homero Rivas, say? What kind of what's the morale among people in your profession?
Well, I've seen some recent surveys that looked at physician satisfaction across the board, across different medical specialties. And as this survey was done maybe about 2-3 years ago, and the average physician job satisfaction was actually in the mid 40%, which basically means more than half of physicians are not honestly happy being physicians. The highest job satisfaction was found among dermatologists, and even that in the survey was only at 59%. So at least 41% of even dermatologists are not happy being dermatologists.
Tell my listener about the dismal world, the murky Dickensian world of codes. There's one that you deal with that every doctor hears with dread, I suppose, and it's called the ICD-9 code. And then there's another one you're telling us about called the CPT code. What are these codes? Why should my listener care about them in terms of his own doctor providing him medical services?
Well, generally, a CPT code is a medical service code that lets the insurance company or the government know what was done at a medical office, whether that's a follow-up visit, whether it's an injection or procedure or actual surgery. Now, the ICD-9 code is actually a diagnosis code. These are diagnoses mainly come up with by people in Washington and the insurance industry that basically have any kind of medical diagnosis that you might have. Now, unfortunately, a lot of these ICD-9 codes are not found in medical textbooks. They're found in insurance and government, I guess, lists somewhere. So what happens is that the ICD-9 and the CPT codes are what are generally filled out on any insurance paperwork to let the government or insurance company know what was done at a medical office and let them know what that medical diagnosis was. And this is something that's very critical because the correct ICD-9 diagnosis code very often needs to be associated with the CPT code in order to result in payment by the insurance company.
You've been in your practice, Chattanooga Spine and Body, for how long? How new is it?
About 1.5 years since September 2013.
And this is your first foray into, you might say, the free market in medicine.
Yes.
How are your patient? How are you finding patients? Talk about people such as my listener who are coming to you who see you as an alternative to what they have. How are they finding you? What are they saying about being able to pay or having to pay, if you will, cash for services?
Well, there's a lot of advantages to being in a private pay office. Because I'm not dealing with insurance, I'm not waiting 60 or 90 days to get paid from insurance, and I can actually keep those charges a lot lower than people would expect. Again, when you're dealing with insurance, because insurance generally underpays, you're forced to overcharge. So again, this artificially increases the cost of healthcare. And so because I'm not dealing with insurance, when a patient comes in and says, okay, well, this is what's going on, we want to do a particular injection, whether it's a knee injection, a shoulder injection. There's no waiting to get authorization from the insurance company. If they want to do that, guess what? We do it that day. I don't have to get prior authorization, don't have to bring the patient back in a week or two to do that injection. So I think patients are finding that very convenient, and it allows me a lot more personal time with the patient. You know, what you generally see, and I did a lot of research before opening my practice, when you look at physicians who are dealing with insurance, on average for one physician, there might be 5 or 6 employees. And when a lot of these physicians changed over to being a private pay type practice, what you see is that they went down to 1, maybe 2 employees. So again, all those additional employees are there just to deal with insurance. So by not dealing with insurance, you vastly reduce the overhead, keep the office a lot simpler, and allows a lot more time to actually spend with the patient, as opposed to trying to figure out, what do I need to put in the chart? What do I have to show to the insurance company to convince them to pay for something that I just did for my patient?
Why would, let's assume for a minute my listener has insurance. Why would someone who's, you might say, in the trap of insurance, in the paradigm of insurance, why would he step outside of that network, if you will, and come to a practice such as yours? Your market is full of people who are in the system. They turn away from people like you. They don't look at you. They look only at approved providers or in-network providers. However, I mean, you're assuming that the people who are like my listener, who are in insurance, will step outside. What makes people step outside their insurance safety net?
Well, for instance, like I said, what most people don't realize is one of the biggest misconceptions that I see, people who maybe haven't had insurance finally get some insurance. They usually have a number of misconceptions. One is they think, well, I have insurance, I can go see whatever doctor I want. That is not always the case. 2, they assume I have insurance, I don't have to pay for my health care anymore. Wrong. That's not always the case. What people don't realize is that when you have things such as deductibles and networks created by the insurance companies, the networks basically limit what physicians any patient can see. And what most people don't realize about the deductibles is there's a certain amount of that healthcare they're still going to be paying out of pocket even though they have insurance.
But an out-of-network physician doesn't count for your deductible if you go outside your network.
It depends on the insurance. Some insurances have 2 deductibles, one in network, one out of network. So that's something that anyone with insurance would have to look and see what their deductibles are in network and out of network, and see if there's actually a difference between the two.
So you're counting on the patient saying, well, I want that man, I want that service, and I don't care if it's a little bit less reimbursement because he's not in my insurance company's in-network list.
Yeah. So, I mean, the idea is that patients should be able to see who they wish to see. But again, when you're dealing with insurance, the insurance is now dictating, well, who you can see, because they say, well, we'll pay for this if you go in network. We won't pay for this other physician if you go out of network.
This is David Toulis. We're here at Nuganomics.com, the show that covers local economy and the free market. And we're talking with Homero Rivas, who's a physiatrist at Chattanooga Spine and Body. Homero, tell my listener how your work really is more of the marketplace than where you came from. You came from a bureaucratic framework, and you are now in the marketplace. Explain what you're doing in terms of the liberty of the marketplace and you might say, the grace and prosperity of the marketplace compared to the much larger world right now in your field, which is insurance and medicine.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I decided to do in not dealing with insurance is really, when I set my pricing up and how much I want to charge, I kind of sat down and said, what do I feel my time is worth to me? What do I think is a fair market value for my time? And so that's kind of what I did, and sat down and said, well, what do I think I should charge for a first initial patient value visit, or for a follow-up visit? What do I think is a reasonable price for something like a general injection, whether it's a shoulder injection, knee injection? So I came out with, prices that I feel are reasonable. Again, when you're dealing with insurance, you generally are overcharging because, again, not only are you waiting anywhere from 60 to 90 days to get paid from insurance, but you're not really sure how much you're going to get paid from each insurance. So it makes things a lot simpler. And I think we had discussed before, when an office is dealing with insurance, because there's a time delay on getting paid, whatever expenses don't get covered by the insurance, that patient may be getting a bill for that balance, again, 4, 5, 6 months later. So the luxury in going to a private pay office is when that patient leaves the office and they pay, guess what? They're not going to get any bills months down the road. When they walk out the door, as far as I'm concerned, it's paid and we're done.
So that what you're highlighting, Homero Rivas, is patient satisfaction with the relationship.
Yes.
And that the relationship is complete. It's not complex or not shadows where things can come out and kind of bite the two parties in the deal, if you will, the relationship.
Yes. In fact, I've had a number of patients from my former office who have been a little hesitant to come to my office. Some of them happen to be older. They're on fixed income. They're, say, on Medicare. But however, a lot of these Medicare plans have a $40 copay to go see a specialist. So my average follow-up visit cost is around $50. So a lot of these patients are now realizing, well, I could pay a $40 copay at a regular office that takes insurance. Now I'm waiting a few months because I may get a bill in a couple months for whatever the insurance decides not to cover. So, and that could be anywhere from another $10 to another $50 or $100. So I think a lot of patients are realizing, wow, if I come see me, I pay the $50, I walk out the door, I'm not getting a bill 4 or 5 months later.
So in terms of the marketplace theory, which our show is about ideas here at Nuganomics.com, we're trying to see how things work in concept. Your idea is that if you're a private pay clinic offering physiatry services, there's kind of a flexibility. There's an openness in the relationship between the customer and the provider. There's not that screen of insurance between the two. There's fixity of price, and the pricing doesn't shift. And you're also excluding all kinds of variables, right? And that makes for provider satisfaction. You, Dr. Homero Rivas,
yes.
And that makes for the satisfaction of the patient who comes to you for the injured back or the injured knee.
Yes. Again, part of the problem with any practice that's actually taking the insurance, again, they're going to be waiting anywhere from 60 to 90 days, if not longer, to see how much and if they're going to get paid from the insurance. And so even from a business standpoint, having to wait that long to find out if and how much you're going to get paid puts a lot of strain on managing a business. Now, when a patient comes in and they pay, guess what? If I get actually get paid what I charge, I'm not forced to overcharge.
So now let's get in a nutshell. You're happy with being in the free market in medicine, is that right?
Yes.
And patients you have, they are happy that you're in the free market versus your previous situation.
Yeah, I think they are. Again, there's a lot of patients I think who are still kind of brainwashed with this idea that you can't see a doctor unless you have insurance. And again, unfortunately, there's a lot of physicians who also have been brainwashed with the idea that you can't have a medical practice unless you take insurance.
Well, our show is Nuganomics.com, and my name is David Toulis. I do thank you, Dr. Rivas, for joining us here at Nuganomics.com. How can my listener contact you?
You can reach me, Dr. Romero Rivas II, at Chattanooga Spine and Body. You can go to the website at chatspineandbody.com. That's chatspineandbody.com, all spelled out, CHATT. Or you can call our office, 423-485-3226. Again, that's 423-485-3226.
Well, Romero Rivas, thank you for joining my listener and me here at Nuganomics.com.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
Our show covers local economy and free market, and the whole idea of bureaucracy controlling medicine is a picture of slavery. The medical profession, for the benefit of the regular check from the government and from insurance companies, sold its souls decades ago. And now there are doctors who realize that there's been a great compromise, and they're finding their way out. They're finding their way into Chattanooga's free market, and not just here, but around the country. A few bold pioneers are saying, you know, we don't have to deal with this anymore. We are free market people. We want to be servants to the sick and the ill, and we're going to be there, and we're going to be free.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. If you have the DT, the shakes, because your phone is on the fritz, you have nomophobia. You need help. Your telecom doctor is in. Cell Surgeon at Northgate Mall. Cell Surgeon yanks open the ribcage of your phone, pries out the dead heart, and puts in the beating life that you lead on your cell phone. Broken screen, phone not charging, water damage, battery given out? Cell Surgeon at Northgate Mall next to Old Chicago Pizza. Check us out on Facebook. Open Sunday. Cell Surgeon. We bring your phone back to life. We've got a table here at Delia's in Saudi Daisy, ready to delight in a plate of authentic Mexican food. Delia's spreads a rich selection: loaded nachos, crazy chicken, homemade tamales, maybe the enchiladas with beef, chicken, pork, quesadillas. Every dish beautifully pictured on the menu to help us decide. Join us for lunch or dinner. We're at Delia's in Saudi Daisy on Dayton Pike near the Thrasher Light. Here's dinner. Delia's uses the freshest ingredients, cooked to perfection. Nachos, homemade. Delia's open every day except the Lord's Day. For lunch and dinner, treat yourself to Delia's genuine Mexican food. In Saudi, call 521-7145. That's 521-7145.
Are you tired of working in corporate America, or have you recently lost your job and would like to consider owning your own business? If you are, please call me, as I can help you look at franchises or business opportunities that fit you, the economy that we're in, and the type of businesses that are right in the greater Chattanooga area. After I help my clients find the right opportunity, I also help them find the best way to finance the business, including paying yourself through the startup phase. If you would like to learn more about opportunities that may be right for you, please call me for a free assessment. My name is Bruce Krebs at the Entrepreneur Source. Phone number is 423-875-5621.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
You do not have to be living with constant pain. You need to make the choice today to enjoy a revitalized body. You deserve to live a better pain-free life. And Dr. Ross can help. At Ross Chiropractic, failure is not an option. For over 40 years, Dr. Ross, a graduate of the prestigious Palmer College of Chiropractic, prided himself in helping and healing. The Ross method of chiropractic care is unique in developing a treatment designed just for you. And Ross Chiropractic makes this promise to you. If he believes that he can't help relieve your pain, he will guide you to another health practitioner to assist you. Feel better now. You owe it to yourself. You really do. Call Dr. Ross now at 954-9591. That's 954-9591. And visit Dr. Ross at 7405 Shallowford Road, Suite 320. Ross Chiropractic, helping your body heal itself. Because when your spine's in line, you will feel fine. Call 954-9591. That's 954-9591 for Ross Chiropractic.
Do you feel better outside your home or business than in? Indoor air quality is important. Mildew, mold, smoke, water, and rodent damage are prime causes of poor indoor air quality. Ducts Indoor Air Professionals, better known as Duct Busters, cleans HVAC systems using 127 definable Duct Busters steps. Let Mark Thompson address the indoor air quality at your business to help reduce employee illnesses. Prevent fires by cleaning your dryer vents. Mark and his parents, Dick and Joan Thompson, have been building our local economy and helping local people with HVAC systems 16 years. Ducts Indoor Air Professionals. Call 876-9907. 876-9907. Ducts. Call now.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Fox News Radio. I'm Lillian Wu. Thousands are fleeing a key part of Iraq as ISIS militants launch a massive attack.
ISIS blasting its way into the Iraqi city of Ramadi with suicide car bomb attacks on government buildings, police, and security forces. Iraqi military officials tell Fox News 3 combat battalions are gearing up for a major ground offensive against ISIS to happen within the next few hours.
Fox's John Huddy. Despite a veto threat, the House has passed a nearly $612 billion defense policy bill, and there's reportedly a pick for the lead in the new Spider-Man movie.
Ender's Game actor Asa Butterfield is the new Peter Parker, according to IMDb. Now, if you remember the 2013 film, the British actor is a bit young. He's 18 years old, but he's had a good run since he burst onto the scene in 2008 as the lead in the Holocaust drama The Boy in the Striped Pajamas.
Fox Radio's Michelle Polino. Fox News. We report, you decide.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nooganomics with David Toulis.
HotNewsTalkRadio.com is our website, and there we have a half-price window. Everything there is half price, including a Jeep Grand Cherokee 1999. It's going for $3,900 or $3,500 or so, one or the other. And ordinarily, if you bought it at any other lot than Automax, it would be double. That's why we aver that it's a half price selection for you. We have all kinds of doodads, gizmos, useful things, some odd things, a miscellany of items, including gift cards for Jets Pizza. Everything there is half price. You buy $50 worth of pizza gift cards from Jets for $25. And Adam Disbro, who runs Cell Surgeon in Northgate Mall by the new pizza joint there on the front, has also cards where you can have it for half price. Not just an iPad repair or a phone repair, but you can buy accessories. If your phone is fine right now, you can get them all at half price from Adam Disbro. Just go to hotnewstalkradio.com. That's hotnewstalkradio.com, and go to the half price window. You can watch my guest and me, and you can check out my bow tie to see if it's a crinkly one or not by watching our station, consuming our station, if you will, intersecting with us, not just on the airwaves, but on your smartphone. Get the TuneIn Radio app. It's called TuneIn Radio. It's free, and just type in Hot News Talk Radio, and there we are. And we do appreciate your giving us a few minutes of your time. Support my advertisers. If you understand how radio works, you realize that my feedback, my living, my cash flow, if you will, is from advertisers who get results by being on my show or here at our station. So I would like to ask you, as a favor to me, you, my listener, patronize people whose names you hear on our station. Go to Automax and buy a car. Go to Delia's. Try Delia's, and Maria Hernandez would love to serve you, and she'll give you a free iced tea if you just say, "Hey, I've heard you on the radio." You'll get a free iced tea, even an unsugared one. Okay, you can have it both ways. And the special today for you is the taco salad. She's got two specials that I rotate on my note, and hers is number 19 on the illustrated menu. It's $6.25. It's $1 off, and you get the chicken or beef variety of the taco salad today. and just ask her that. She has all kinds of good things: chicken tamales, enchiladas, quesadillas. If you're new in town, you're here from Germany, perhaps. Well, this is what Americans enjoy when they want to dine south of the border, and that's at Delia's Authentic Mexican Food, little restaurant in Soddy Daisy, just near the Thrasher Pike Light in South Soddy Daisy. And also, did you see the story on the top of the Region page? TV3 has done it right, and the Times Free Press has done it wrong. And it's on the top of Region page, and the headline, "Man charged with homicide in death of fetus." Well, why is it a fetus? Now, fetus is a Latin word for unborn baby, and it's used by people who are sympathetic to the right to kill and destroy and terminate boys and girls who are fetuses. And the story is by Shelley Bradbury, and it says a 23-year-old Chattanooga man was charged with criminal homicide Thursday after police say he beat a 15-year-old pregnant girl and killed the fetus she was carrying. Now, the word fetus is simply wrong. I mean, there's no virtue and no editorial correctness in using the word fetus. There's no need to go Latin here because the baby was born. And the second paragraph says that Justin Armour or so-and-so attacked the girl, and she gave birth to a stillborn fetus who Armour fathered early Wednesday morning. So you see, there's sympathy on the part of the Chattanooga Times Free Press editor who enforced this rule on Shelley Bradbury, the writer of the story. Right, Shelley Bradbury wanted to make sure what the right word was, but in fact, it's an editorial mistake to refer to any baby that's born as a fetus. Now, I can understand a newspaper trying to play it down the middle there on the abortion question, saying, well, a baby that's born is a baby, a boy or girl, and a baby that's not born theoretically could be called a fetus. But here the baby is born, right? There's no such thing as a stillborn fetus. The fetus is the unborn baby, right? Being born changes the nomenclature, changes the word from fetus, impersonal medical word, to the human word boy or girl. I didn't read past the jump, and I'm not sure if we're told what this baby was, but the paragraph just before the jump says the girl said she tried to protect her unborn fetus but was unable to get away. Well, don't you think that the paper should condescend enough to say, well, this is a real baby because the woman did not intend to abort this baby, right? Did not intend to kill the baby in a clinic, and therefore we're going to grant that her fetus is a baby. All right, this child was destroyed. There is a criminal charge being filed against Justin Armour. But what I think you, my listener, are probably tired of this kind of editorializing. When it's little details like this, I think, that make the newspaper more and more alienating of itself as against its very big readership. Right, the paper has thousands of people who subscribe to it, but it is a, you might say, it's an pro-abortion perspective. The paper, instead, rather than medicalizing terminology like this, it should not refer to the mother as a gravidus, right? That's what the Latin for the mother carrying a baby, right? She's the gravidus. Do we use that term for the woman who was injured by this attack? Well, no, we call her a woman or girl, and we don't use the Latin word for her. But for the baby, who is a boy or a girl, we use the Latin word because we're medically neutral. We're clinical, right? And that's why "Man charged with homicide and death of fetus" is the headline, and that's the editorial policy of the Chattanooga Times Free Press, which is effectively a pro-abortion publication. TV3, did TV3 make this mistake yesterday? No, it did not. It called very, very fairly and rightly and factually the lost soul, an unborn baby, or a baby, because once you're born, you're not a fetus anymore. You're in a new world, right? Once you've emerged, you are in a new world, even though you are dead. Well, my name is David Toulis, and our show is NewEconomics.com. Wanted to mention Affordable Computers, where I have from which I have a very fine Dell here at the studio, and lug it around with me to provide a great service. Affordable is where you get computers repaired. It's done in-house by the great guys down there, the techs at Affordable Computers. You may not have seen this place, but it's on Highway 58, right between the Arby's and the Taco Bell. And if you're from south of the border in Fort O, there's one on Battlefield Parkway near the Holcombs. $200 will get you a rebuilt Dell or other laptop, and all computers that are made by Affordable are custom built, which means using standardized parts. I know you think that's not important, but it is. If you have standardized parts, it can be repaired anywhere in the world. And many store-bought computers are built with proprietary parts and can't easily be fixed. They're designed to wear out. As Charlie was telling me recently, they're designed to fail. They're designed to wear out. But one that's built by Affordable will certainly last longer and give you many years of service before you have to retire it. I wanted to mention, we want to express some disappointment here at the federal senator, the man whom the former mayor of Chattanooga, whom you elected, and who now he doesn't represent you to them. He represents them, the good people, to you, right? That's he got up there and as it inevitably happens within a few months, his interest and perspective change. And you, my listener, you're a constituent of Bob Corker, and you're kind of annoying. He has to deal with you. He can't escape having to deal with you and people like you, the citizenry. And he describes himself as a neo-pragmatist. Now, and he's a neo-pragmatist in the following way. He says that the NSA is not collecting enough information about you. It has collected all of your emails to your business partner, and it has collected your wife's text messages to you, reminding you please to add asparagus when you go to the store this afternoon after work, because she had forgotten to put it on the list that she wrote down for you on that piece of paper with the blue pen. Well, Senator Corker says the program that's run by the NSA, the National Surveillance Administration, the program is actually not the program I thought it was, he says. He's had a moment of enlightenment here. Not even close. I think you are going to see people on both sides of the debate of the aisle pushing, wondering why not more data is part of the database that is used to protect our citizens. You can read the story at Nuganomics.com. He says he's shocked by how little data the NSA is collecting by the government's mass program, and with his advocacy that the program needs to be ramped up hugely. What is pragmatism? Well, pragmatism is essentially, as I want to explain how pragmatism, what it really is. Pragmatism is when, well, first of all, pragmatism is not. Well, let me back up. I'm reading a book by Jacques Barzun. It's a kind of history of mankind. It's one of those very fat books that takes up about 2 inches on your shelf. And I'm reading about Henry James and the rise of pragmatism. And Barzun says that Henry James is, and others like him are not fairly represented by the kind of current versions of what people understand pragmatism to be. We understand pragmatism to be, in the negative sense, it's doing whatever works without principle. Now, when Senator Corker calls himself a neo-pragmatist, what he's really trying to say, he's not referring to that meaning, right? He's referring to a much more positive meaning, which means that he knows how to work with people, right? That's all that means. He knows how to get things done. And he's willing to compromise on principle a little bit if the end goal is right and we can get to that end goal and have the good results, right? It's kind of results oriented. You could say outcome based oriented. Well, but we need to understand that pragmatism doesn't work, and it doesn't work whether you're dealing with Syrians or you're dealing with Iraqis or you're dealing with the security apparatus, which you find suddenly, though it traps every bit of digital correspondence in the world. It traps it all, and has thousands of analysts mining it for data, right? Mining it for threats to America and so on. Well, you are being a pragmatist, but even though you say you believe in constitutional liberties and constitutional securities and the constitutional chains, right, which are supposed to be on the government, you're a pragmatist because you don't want to go too far with that principle, because if you do, well, the whole agency will have to be shut down and people will be put out of work. Think of it. You'll have 60,000 analysts at the NSA and contractors who will be without jobs. And that will put a new burden on the on the unemployment scheme that's run by the national government for millions of people, that we can't really have that. So there are pragmatic reasons to let this thing go. I'm sure Senator Corker is not thinking in terms of jobs for policy people and spies and snoots. He's not really thinking about that, but he's thinking about security, right? The great abstraction of security, which justifies really, I would say, every evil. Every evil can be justified. Every abuse of the law is justified under necessity of some kind. National security is, of course, the great necessity, which diminishes local economy and denies self-government of the individual and self-government of a town. Ideally, I think Chattanooga could be its own town. Someday it will become its own town. Not in your lifetime, but someday, with continuing decentralization, Hamilton County could become its own self-floating, you might say, quasi-country. I'm not saying it would be a country 100 years from now, but it could be, right? When your great-great-grandchildren are alive and have maybe your ideas, right? You, my listener, have your good ideas, and you've passed them on to your children, and they to their children. Hopefully, a little Christianity would be involved in these people. There'll be independence. There'll be self-government. We don't have that now. We're not allowed to be self-governing. We are required to be dependent. And the ideas that Senator Corker espouses and represents are that of pragmatism. Pragmatism doesn't work. Though it pretends to work, it pretends to be always results-oriented. But the problem with pragmatism, neo-pragmatism, and people such as Bob Corker are that their pragmatism posits a meaningless world in which no criteria exist. In the end, if you don't have criteria, whether it's God's law or constitutional prohibition, and you view these things all as supple, right? You view them as flexible, as elastic. Well, then you in fact are an anarchist, and that is that you can say it's a dualist. You're a dualist in that, not that you're fighting duels, but in the sense of dualism, there are two systems which are incompatible, but which run parallel, right? And you can be in either one. You can be, in fact, because you are a very intelligent man, you can be in both of them at the same time, even though they are self-contradictory. Senator Corker, I think, and people who are pragmatic and not principled and not idealists, right? They would say that there's not, that you can believe one thing, right? You have your theoretical ideas. They're ideas, they're principles, they're tenets, they're moral rules, or ethical rules, etc. But that reality is normally what a man presents in his public speeches and his writings, according to Bojidar Marinov, who's a very fine writer and theologian and a Bulgarian. He's a Bulgarian immigrant who lives in Texas, and a writer whom I have profited from. He says that reality is normally what a man presents in his public speeches and his writings. It is what he uses to build his public image, right? Conservative, that is, paying lip service to conservative principles, he says. Free market, well, what is that? If you are a pragmatist or a neo-pragmatist, right, the better kind, well, what that means is you've learned all the verbiage of the defenders of free market principles, right? You've heard David Toulis defend the marketplace, and you've borrowed some of his delicious phrases describing the power and the beauty of the marketplace. Or you've read Ron Paul's books, or you've read Frederic Bastiat or you've read F.A. Hayek's books, and you can borrow judiciously and sound like you are a defender of the free market, and you're opposed to cartels, you're opposed to monopolies, you're opposed to oligarchies and the like, and yet you're not. You're just a hack, a political hack. But the pragmatist Bob Corker lives in the real world, and when it comes to politicians, the reality of the voting record and their other legislative and government actions, that's the real measure. That's their practice. He says that reality is not to be confused with the first one. It is not run by ideological principles nor by moral rules. There we do what we can, and what you're doing is separating practice and principle, because the two are in a natural dichotomy, and that's what the dualism is, right? There's practice and there's principle. You can have these two realities, and you can try to reconcile them through kind of dialectical procedures, which Karl Marx developed. And so you can become a practical conservative, right? You can become a not an ideological conservative, but a supple conservative, a pragmatic conservative. Even in Christianity, we have the same problem. He says, "I've shown before how a particular writer, a professing Christian, justify his vote for Romney, Mitt Romney, the Mormon. He's just a conservative. That's all Mitt Romney is and was, as practical and pragmatic. And this other writer, adopts as his ideological foundation a basically dualist view of reality, two separate realms with two distinct ethical codes of action." And in Christianity, what happens is when you separate dominion from godliness. In other words, your godliness is your private Christian life, your private Christian thinking, and dominion is what Christianity requires its adherents to do. They are to take dominion of the earth, individually, in their families, in their businesses, in any office they hold. They're always required to be interested in justice, to be interested in equity. Not I'm not talking about the justice that's used by the doctrinaire left. We're not talking about the feel-good justice of the left-wing church, but the whole American church has brought into the lie, as the writer Jim Jordan did, according to Martinov, the lie of political pragmatism. It has abandoned any principled political action based on the scriptures. You say, well, why am I bringing up the scriptures here? What does that have to do with? Hang on. And he says that, well, people who are pragmatic, who are Christians. What's on your mind?
Hello, David.
What's on your mind? Go ahead. You're on the air.
Excellent analysis regarding the media and the murder of that baby, that born baby. You're a guy that likes to analyze. So I have a question that I think you may be able to answer, because most people can't. Why does anybody bother to waste their time voting when no one is ever charged with sedition, treason, or perjury when they take an oath to obey the federal or state constitutions, or even a local charter? I mean, why bother putting people in office when they believe they have no allegiance to the rule of law? Why would anyone waste their time voting? To me, it seems like a total, absolute fraud.
What you're saying is, if my listener and other people like him don't attempt to hold public officers, if my listener doesn't attempt to hold public officers to account strictly, then why is the listener bothering to vote? Is that kind of rephrasing your question?
Well, it seems to be a scam. Let's take Corker for an example. You brought up a good point there. The Fourth Amendment clearly states not reasonable suspicion, but probable cause. And anyone that has even rudimentary knowledge of the Bill of Rights understands the founders definitely wanted privacy and you to be secure in your books and records, and that anything anything would be considered an imposition. Other than that all searches and seizures were unreasonable, unless the judge said otherwise, and the judge would have to actually validate that based on independent testimony or an affidavit. So, I mean, where something is so clear, like the Second Amendment or the First or the Fourth, and no one is getting charged with sedition or treason and take an oath to obey these, or even your local Pisonetary when he eventually accepts a marriage between Joe and John. Why waste one's time in believing you could change anything when these people have no allegiance to what they agreed to do?
Well, the question is, the people don't deserve people who obey the Constitution. They don't deserve people who honor the rule of law, who are fearful of violating their oaths of office. They're not afraid of having people who are careless with the law, who don't read the law, who don't know the law. The American people, even people here in Chattanooga, not my listener, but other people, they don't deserve officials who are strict about their understanding of the law. They're not strict about protecting the listener and his rights. And why do they not generally deserve it? Of course, there are always exceptions of people who do deserve good government. Well, because on the whole, Americans and even Chattanoogan's and Hamilton County residents, and even my listener, if he's traveling through, even him, don't deserve Constitution honoring and Constitution fearing public officials, because the people as a whole are very careless of the most important law of all. And I would suggest that that's God's law, and the summary of that being the Ten Commandments. If the people feared God's law, they feared offending him, and the particulars that are, you might say, behind the Ten Commandments, which is the standard of equity, and the Ten Commandments are a picture of God's requirement for men and women, and a picture of his character. They don't, if they don't care about what God says for them to do in their lives and in their governments, well, they don't deserve to have public officials, magistrates, judges, kings, presidents who honor either God or the binding law of that particular land. In our case, it's the Constitution. Well, this is David Toulis. Our show is NoogaNomics.com. These are important questions. We do look at them. The only website in Chattanooga that deals with these questions is NoogaNomics.com, and that is the website for the man who matters. And of course, it's not a popular website. And why not? Well, there are very few men who matter. But I hope you are one of them, and I hope you will join us again Monday, and have a blessed weekend and a delightful Lord's Day.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Right now, you can save half off at hotnewstalkradio.com. Go to hotnewstalkradio.com and click half off for exceptional deals on new and pre-owned unique quality items. For Hamilton County residents only. Save half off at Jed's Pizza, golf clubs, coffee, tea, a real sword, jewelry, and much more. It's half off. Go to half off at hotnewstalkradio.com right now, then click on half off to save big. Be sure to join us live Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays at 11 a.m. as we bring you lots of fantastic deals right here, AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. HotNewsTalkRadio.com and half off.
Surgery does not have to be financially painful. Hi, I'm surgical Dr. David Red, and I'd like to invite you to my walk-in surgery clinic in North Shore. Quick Surge brings you immediate relief from moles, skin tags, maybe a laceration. Quick Surge. You walk in, fill out a mini form, I numb the area I'll treat, and before you know it, you're on your way home. Do I take insurance? No, because I take cash customers. I have super low and fixed prices, credit card, check, or cash. Uninsured? Member of the working financially disadvantaged? Choose Quick Surge. I publish prices online. No mirth, just sunshine. Hassle-free, pain-free. Love the idea of a personal relationship with a doctor? Drop in with a nasty cut from work. Quick Surge. I'll take care of you. Quick Surge in the Public Center on the North Shore. No insurance hassles with Quick Surge. The national medical system is dysfunctional, overpriced, very alienating. I'm part of the solution, and so are you. Come on home. QuickSurge.com. QUIKSURG. Relief.
When my brother and I opened our first Jed's Pizza, we believed if we made the best pizza, customers would find us. So we made fresh dough each day, used fresh toppings, and premium mozzarella cheese. 300 plus stores later, we still do.
Try Jed's famous 8-corner pizza with premium mozzarella cheese and one topping, now just $11.99 for a limited time only. Jed's Pizza, the best pizza in town. 3600 Hickson Pike.
Life is short. Eat better pizza.
Let's get Jed's. Pure, honest, fair, and respect. Just some words that come to mind when you think about how you want to be treated. And that's how you're treated at Rivermont Pure. Rivermont Pure in Rivermont, Chattanooga. Serving your vehicle needs for over 30 years.
Now that's a long time.
Owner-operators Charlie and Tommy always put your needs first. Yeah, go ahead. Get an estimate from one of those big guy impersonal car repair chains.
No way!
Then bring it to Tommy and Charlie at Rivermont Pure. Chances are they'll beat their price and get your vehicle back on the road faster than you can say,
our customers come first. Hi, this is Charlie.
And I'm Tommy, owners of Rivermont Pure. We're here to serve you.
Rivermont Pure, the auto repair guys. Featuring ethanol-free fuel. Located across from Rivermont Elementary on Hickson Pike. Rivermont, Chattanooga. Rivermont Pure.
Rivermont Pure, that's where I've always gone to get my car serviced. My husband and I trust Charlie and Tommy. They always treat us right and give us a fair price. And they get the job done right the first time. Thank you, Rivermont Pure.
Call 485-3375. That's 485-3375.
Okay, you get your taxes done by a franchise, but you're just a number. Your preparer might have had a 9-week course, but he's a number 2. Are you creating prosperity for your customers and yourself? EJ Pelton clears the thick underbrush of taxes, helps make your way straight. Don't let uncertainty dampen your local economy spirit. Look, come home. Let EJ Pelton Tax Service handle your taxes. Eric Pelton is the Chattanooga and Soddy Daisy tax specialist with 37 years under his belt. Eric Pelton also does bookkeeping and accounting to help you reach your entrepreneurial and financial goals. Confidential advice, consulting, and other services. Yours for the asking. EJPelton.com. That's EJPelton.com. Call 332-3339. That's 332-3339. Think ahead.
Here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's got third. He's going for second. Earnhardt going for the lead.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series is on the Motor Racing Network. Coverage continues Sunday here at Live on the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
NASCAR being brought to you by River City Auto Exchange, 5503 Highway 153 in Hickson.
Check it out this Sunday live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station. Hot News Talk.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga, and the world.
WSDT Soddy Daisy.
CBS News, I'm Jim Taylor. Breaking news, a verdict is reached in the penalty phase of the Dzhokhar Tsarnaev Boston Marathon bombing trial. The same jury that found him guilty of those bombings has been deliberating more than 14 hours whether Tsarnaev should get the death penalty or life in prison. That decision has just now been reached. Court is expected to convene any moment to make that decision public. The 2013 bombing killed 3 people, injured more than 260. The defense sought to pin most of the blame on his radicalized older brother. Prosecutors portrayed Tsarnaev as an equal partner in the attack, and so heartless he placed a bomb behind children. Found the relief chopper that went down in Nepal.
The helicopter was finally spotted by Nepalese ground troops.
The wreckage was found at approximately 11,000 feet in extremely dense forest and rugged terrain.
Colonel Steve Warren at the Pentagon, the military has been unable to identify the bodies, and now a special Air Force team has had to pull out of the area because of bad weather.
If the pararescue team cannot stay on site, you can rest assured that it is some of the most extreme weather conditions you can imagine.
The weather conditions on top of the 2 earthquakes hampered the search for days. Cammie McCormick, CBS News, the Pentagon.
6 Marines, 2 Nepalese soldiers on board, no survivors. At an annual memorial on Capitol Hill, President Obama paying tribute to fallen police officers. Today, here's CBS News correspondent Pam Coulter.
Thousands came to the Capitol to honor the 131 officers killed in the line of duty last year during what one official called a difficult time for law enforcement. And in honoring the officers he called heroes, the president said we can offer the support police need to be safer.
We can work harder as a nation to heal the rifts that still exist in some places between law enforcement and the people you risk your lives to protect.
2 officers representing departments from across the country, the president said, you risk your lives so others know peace. Pam Coulter, CBS News, the White House.
Frenzied cleanup continues at the scene of this week's deadly train crash in Philadelphia. Here's CBS's Steve Dorsey.
Amtrak hopes to fully restore rail service from Philadelphia to New York by Tuesday. Work is still underway to repair the tracks and down power lines and utility poles here. Heavy construction equipment remains on scene as crews rush to finish their work.
Next step for investigators, an interview with the engineer. Oil drop in prices leading to less drilling, that leading to less output. Here's CBS News business reporter Jason Brooks.
Plunging oil prices have been a damper to the U.S. economy. The Federal Reserve says industrial production fell 0.3% in April, the 5th straight monthly decline. Oil and gas well drilling activity dropped over